Hello, everyone. My name is Kashawn Hopkins. I'm an instructional technology specialist from Oklahoma Public School Resource Center. And in this tech talk, I'm going to be talking about Discord, which is a voice, video, text chat application. It's a technology tool that you can use to build online communities. You can use it for like office hours. It's a real lightweight app that's really easy to use in there. But do keep in mind you want to make sure that you have security and privacy set up if you do plan on using it. And so it's a pretty popular app in gaming circles. And so your students might already be familiar with it. Before I jump further into the tool this time, I'm joined here with my colleague. I want to give him an opportunity to introduce himself. So go ahead.
Hello, I'm Kurt Bernhardt, Technology Director for OPSRC. Kashawn and I make up the technology team here. We're here to help you with how to use technology like Discord in the classroom, or if you have trouble with your network, we kind of handle it all. Just reach out to us and we're here to help. Kashawn will tell you how.
You can reach out to us through our email at techteam@opsrc.net. That's spelled TECHTEAM at opsrc.net. They'll shoot me and Kurt a little something, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. Moreover, if you want access to the slides so you can follow along and reach out any of the resources that I had during my research, I have it over here. It is case sensitive, so I'm going to read it out. It's lowercase t period ly / lowercase v uppercase u t q. You can also get to the slides and recordings like the one that I'm doing for this one at opsrc.net/technology. If you go over there, you can see our lovely new website that's hot off the press here. We have a technology page dedicated to the tech talks. We got a little submission button down here. We have a calendar of the upcoming tech talks. Don't have next week's on here, so I think it's on the events. But if you scroll down, you can see Tech Titans, which is Kurt's monthly webinar. And down at the bottom, you can see the archive, which has Tech Titan recordings and slides for all of the previous things that we have done in here. So make sure to check out like the individual tech tools. They have the recordings on there, and this is where this recording will live once we are done doing it. And just real quick, I'm going to go over to events, top right-hand corner there. I'm pretty sure that has the calendar for all of the dates. Yeah. So Trello is on there, which is what I'm doing next week. So yeah, check all that stuff out if you get an opportunity. With that, I want to show you an example of a Discord server in here. I have one that's prepared. I also have an the English learning Discord that's out there, but I'm just going to use the one that I created from last time. But if you want to check out like a more public one, then you can. I put the link in there. But the idea here is that you have these different servers on the left-hand side. You can easily swap between them by just clicking them. And also, I'm using the desktop. The website version of right now of Discord. You can also take advantage of the mobile apps that are on, your Android devices, your iPads, what have you. But yeah, we have the different servers here, and inside of the servers are these little channels. Now there are two types of channels. The text ones, where if you click on them, you can automatically go over there, and at the very bottom, you can type out a message, press enter, and it will have a little chat log there. You can also scroll down in the channels menu and see the second type of channels, which is voice channels. If you click on it and you will join inside of there, you can see my little nickname on here. And you have a little control panel here at the very bottom of your channel taskbar here. At the very bottom, you can click the mute button and you can see it puts a little mute icon on there. You can even mute other people inside. One of the really nice things that you can do in here is like right click someone's name and you can mute them for you specifically. But if you're like an admin, you can also mute the person for everyone else. You can click deafen, which is really nice feature if you want to turn off all the sound. Say that you have like a phone call or something to take care of. You click deafen, it will mute all of the sound and yourself on there. And I'm going to have to turn off my camera for this one, so give me a hot second. Here we go. And moreover, you can also, sorry, let me move my Zoom window there. It's in the way for me. I could click on where it says turn on camera, and you can see my camera. Hello, it's me. Hi, how you doing? And you can click on share screen, and you will have the usual options on like clicking a tab or sharing your entire window. Very similar to Zoom in terms of some of the features that you have there. The nice thing about it is that it's pretty lightweight. As soon as someone is part of the server, they can easily click and move in the channels here. It's easy to swap between voice channels. You don't have to set up a meeting or anything like that. And you can use the text channels to put resources on here or facilitate discussion. You can use it for group work or office hours. You can put rules, announcements, resources, all that stuff on here. So yeah, those are a couple of different ways that you can use these servers, and you can create your own as well, which I'll hopefully show in a minute. Our objective for this tech talk will be, after this tech talk, educators will be able to integrate Discord into their classroom to create a digital space for community and discussion. I think those are the big advantages of Discord, using it as a communication platform here. Our schedule is the basic one for most of our individual tools. We have a tool overview, and most of the time will be spent with the showcase, which is just showing you how to jump into the tool, do a couple of basic first steps here, getting yourself started. Then I would like to spend a little bit of time talking about integrating technology. Always like to have that in there, just so you have a plan before you start putting technology in your classroom so you can get optimal and desired results. I want to talk a little bit about tool applications. During that time, I want to invite you to think about what this tool might look like in your classroom or in your extracurricular activities. If you're involved with any of that, I think this is a handy tool for that. And then we will wrap things up. I'll point out where a couple of my resources are at the ends of my slides if we have some time. And yeah, we'll finish up. With that, let's start unpacking this tool. First of all, clean little definition, just in case somebody asks, Discord is a video, voice, and text chat app that you can use. A couple of features to point out. I highly recommend you only use this for users that are ages 13 and up. I think by their policy, you really only should have an account if you're that age. So it's probably more geared towards the secondary, like the high school area on here. You could probably use it with junior high, but yeah, try to keep it to students that you feel are mature enough to handle being online. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity to explore, having this digital identity and being able to not only protect your privacy and your security and being aware of that, but also being a good digital citizen and then being able to interact with other people in an appropriate way. So I think this is a great place to do that. You saw through the very beginning, you can do voice calls, video calls, text channels. It's real easy to do all of that stuff at the click of a button, and you can also screen share. As far as security is concerned, you have automatically expiring invite links. You can make them last forever if you want, but you can also adjust how long they last and how many times someone can use a link before it expires. There's roles and permissions, so you can fine tune what people can do inside of your servers. Email verification, so to protect anybody from, they call them Discord raids, where people come in with like bot accounts. But there's some basic protections against that through email verification. There's a rules screening, which I think is pretty cool. In fact, while I'm talking about it, I can click on where it says rules up here, and there would be a channel dedicated to that. And it would be a little pop-up that people will have to agree to before they are able to interact with your server. And of course, the desktop and mobile app are really useful. Start the showcase, I've created some beginning steps here. First of all, we're going to create and set up a server. I would require you to go to discord.com and log in through there, which is where I'll start my showcase. Once you got your server all built, I mean, that's where a majority of the heavy lifting is going to be done. You're going to invite your students. And then finally, the rest is just monitoring activity, encouraging digital safety. I've even included a resource for that. Discord has done a pretty good job, including a bunch of resources. They're already fully aware. They're already fully aware that Discord can be used in an educational setting, so they've put out a lot of resources for that, which I highly recommend that you check out. But anyways, let us work our way through these first steps here to help you feel hopefully a little bit more comfortable and hopefully imagine what this would look like inside of your classroom or an after school activity here. So first things first, once you have signed up for an account and logged in, you'll get a screen kind of like this. It will look like, it'll ask you to create your server and it'll give you a little pop-up. But if you are in a situation that's similar to the one I'm in right now, if you go to the left-hand side and click the plus button, it says add a server. You can click on that. And from here, you can either create your own or start from a template. Now, there are a couple of lovely templates on here, like gaming, school club, study group, friends. Usually, if you're going to create a server, you want to have some specific attention for it. Is this for you and all of your classrooms? And you're going to have different channels for your different subjects or classes that you have there. Is this for a school club? Do you want to build study group? Is this just a space for students to come in and lounge and have a safe digital space to work inside of? So however way that you want to do that, there's a couple of templates to help you out. I'm going to just start with the school club. I think it probably would fit the most settings that we have here. You can say what the intention is for, like a large community or just between a small group of friends. In this case, probably community would fit this the best. From here, I'm going to upload a photo. Let's see. Yeah, sure. One of these. I think I have that. Oh, nope. Okay, there we go. Just a nice little generic icon. And then I'm going to call this Tech Talks Options for the server name. So just a little icon and a little server name, so it's real easy to find. And then no one else will be able to get into the server unless they have an invitation on here, which is what they request the first steps here. But since this is a template, you can see that it already has created some categories for me. We have information, text channels, voice channels, just a real nice way to organize it. And then inside of those channels, we have, inside of those categories, we have the separate channels like announcements, resources, general, a lounge, a meeting room in here. So real basic stuff on terms of how to set all of this up. Okay, so that's step one. We've created our server here. Now we need to start filling in with actual content in here, just whatever you think is going to be useful to your students before they come here. I recommend setting up some sort of organization here. So you might want to build categories and channels that you think are going to be useful to you. Like, for example, if you want to do office hours through Discord, let's say, for example, you tell your students, I'm going to be in the Discord channel between 6 to 7 or something like that. Anytime you have a question, you just pop in there. You can ask me. I'll try to work with you, and you can even use screen share to work through some of the problems or review essays, whatever you think is going to be useful. So I'm going to create a category. I'm going to go to the top left-hand corner and click on the server name, which is Tech Talks Hopkins. I'm going to click on where it says create category. And then from here, I can put something like office hours. You can make this private if you want. Since the intention is that anybody can just freely join in, you can have that here. If you make it private, then you can specify which members can actually join in these categories, which is useful if you want to keep some people out or just have a space specifically for certain people. But yeah, you see that I have the category here. If I want to add any channels, because it's not going to be very useful by itself, I can click on the plus button and it will give me the two channel types, either text or voice. In this case, let's put down a text channel and I'm going to say office hours discussion. And keep in mind, I can also make that private as well, but I'm going to keep that public and click create channel. So it's about that easy, and then I can start typing anything in there as well. You can also, if there's a really important message, let's say, for example, that you have like certain like certain rules to the office hours, or you want to put the schedule that you have, maybe you have like a rotating schedule or something like that. Something you can do is hover over the message itself and go over to where it says more here on the right hand side and click on that. And you can click pin a message, which is really nice. If you confirm this, at the very top of your screen, there is a little pin button up there that you can click on. You can see any message that you have on there. So that's really useful if you have lots of discussion, but you really need to highlight something really important. Another nice feature on here for text channels is that if you hover over text and click the pencil button, you can edit it on the fly, which is great. Good stuff. Yeah, so from there, that's a couple of text channels. We probably want to have a voice channel so we can actually talk with our students. I'm going to click create a channel. I'm going to click voice, and I'm going to say meeting room. Boom. Create a channel. Awesome. Now the meeting room, yeah, I want to leave that there. And maybe I want to have a waiting room or something. So I'm going to click create a channel, click voice, click waiting room. So maybe I will establish some rules with my students to say, hey, if you join and you see somebody already in the meeting room, wait in the waiting room, and join afterwards or something like that. However way that you want to handle that. Yeah. Now, voice channels do have chat rooms in them as well. You're very welcome to use them. I kind of like having a separate text channel out there, but if you click on where it says open chat, it will put that little chat window there. I don't really like it as much because it like takes away from some visual real estate, but you do have a chat that you can put inside of the meeting rooms themselves for the voice channels at the very least. Something I don't think that I mentioned is that you can sort of hang up on the voice channel because you'll stay in there until you disconnect. And the disconnect button is down here on the bottom left-hand corner. That is your little remote. You can click on that and you'll see it'll play a little sound and then remove you from that room. Okay, so that is how to create voice channels and text channels and take advantage of some of the features that they have in here. Okay, top left-hand corner. I'm going to do the next thing, which is enable community options. While this isn't necessarily, you don't have to do this, but I highly recommend that you at least consider doing it. When you enable your server as a community server, that doesn't mean it makes it public. It just requires your servers to have certain key security features that I think align already with trying to keep your students safe here. So the way that you access that is on the top left-hand corner, click on the name of your server, go down to where it says server settings. This is where you can make a couple of adjustments here. If you scroll down to where it says enable community on the left-hand side here, it will give you a little information on what it means to build a community server. But if you want to get going, you can click get started. And then you can go through the safety checks here. Like, for example, verified email. So students are required to have an email associated with their accounts for easy identification and just making sure nobody can just join the server for free. They have to verify their email. You can also scan media content for explicit content, so basic checks here. And then click next. You can create a rules channel. You can specify one that already exists, but in this case, I'm going to have it create one for me. And you can create a community updates channel as well. I think that's useful for if you have admins or moderators, you can specify like student leaders as that, or you can work to collaborate together. Maybe you can create one server for like all the math classes or something. Like if you're working in a professional learning community or something like that, you can share Discord. That way you can share moderation services so you're not doing all the work here. I'm going to put that there and click next. And then your final step on here, you got to agree to the settings here, and I'm going to click finish setup. And then once you do that, your server is a community server. Now, by doing that, and I think I have a step on it here, you can do something called rules screening. So I'm going to go back into server settings, which I'm here already. You can go over to where it says rule screening under moderation. You don't see that option unless you're community server. So I'm going to click on rules screening. And what this allows you to do, and there's an example of this for the Wumpus Land server, is that when someone joins your server, they have to agree to your server rules before they can start interacting. So I'm going to set that up. I'm going to click Set up Membership Screening. Of course, you have to have verification for your email. You can actually adjust that. I have it on the lowest setting on here, but you can actually adjust the verification level on here. If you're not just good enough with email, you can have them wait a certain amount of time through the medium or high settings, or you could set it on the highest setting, which they have to pair a phone with the accounts, which is quite a strong security, but just keep in mind for accessibility purposes, students might not be able to verify their accounts on there. So kind of play it by ear, figure out depending on who's in your server there or who you plan to be on the server. Put a little description on there. It's just nice to do. And then you scroll down and click on where it says get started. From here, you can enter in whatever rules that you want. They have a couple example ones like be civil and respectful, and they give you speech. So these are like generic rules that you can dump in here. I'm sure you could just Google like Discord rules for school clubs in here, and you could probably get some more examples on here. But once you have what you like here, you can click save. And then on the right-hand side, you can click on where it says preview and get an idea of what this looks like on here, and where students have to come in here and make sure that they verify their emails, all that good stuff. And so this really helps keep the bots out. Once you feel like this is appropriate, you click enable, and then you have it on. So when people join your servers, they have to verify all of that and read the rules. So great stuff. There are more settings on here that I think are worth playing with, like welcome screens are usually pretty nice, especially if you want to direct people to specific places like, hey, if you're going to join the server, here are the resources, check all that stuff out. Or, hey, why don't you introduce yourself in the specific channel? Whatever you think is going to be useful if you are joining a community, what would be like your first steps? Okay. I think that's enough for settings. One last thing that I do want to mention is roles. This is a way that you can, roles is a way to sort of set up permissions for specific groups of people. There is a generic way of setting all of that, and then there's a way where you can create admins that have special permissions, or you could prohibit students from getting access to certain things. Like, for example, top left-hand corner, I'm going to click on Tech Talks Hopkins, the name again, click on server settings, go down to where it says roles, the second option here, and then click on where it says default permission. So this applies to all of the members as soon as somebody joins. These are the specific permissions that they have. The one that I want to specify that's probably a really good idea to disable on the everyone role is if you scroll down where it says create invite, maybe want to set that off, because so that way you're the only person that has control, and you're the only person that has control in the invitation power. If you want to, you can click disable change nickname, so people have to use their name that's associated with their emails on there, or you can change it, manage it yourself. I think those are probably the good ones on here. If you want to adjust things like prohibit people from attaching files, you can if you want. There's a couple of things you can scroll through, but just keep in mind what you intend to use the Discord for. Anyways, I'm going to click Save Changes. And that is how you adjust for the roles here. And if you want, you can add things. They have an example, like if you want to add officers in here or have somebody help you moderate, you can do it through here. No problem. From there, the last couple of steps is just inviting students. Top left-hand corner, if you click on the name, once again, second option down is invite people. You can give them a copy of this link here. You just copy it and put it wherever you want. hopefully only a place that students can get into, like if you're using Google Classrooms or Teams or something like that, just a space there. You can email it to them as well. By default, invitation links expire after 7 days, but if you want to adjust that just to make it a little bit more secure, you can click on link settings here, the bottom right-hand corner of this window. From here, you can set it to expire a little bit shorter, like within the hour, 24 hours, however way that you want to do it on here. You can even restrict how many times the link can be actually used. So if you only expect a handful of people to be in the server, you can limit that as well. There is an option that says temporary membership, but if you read the fine print, be careful with that one, because once somebody disconnects from your server or closes their window, where they're in the server there, they're going to need another link to get back in. So please keep that in mind. Okay. Some last minute things I feel like are worth mentioning. If I scroll up, you can see that I can easily tell which channels have actual activity going on them. If it's gray, that means there's nothing new. If it's white and light like that under moderator only, it will ask me to check in here. Another thing that I don't think I've showed yet is it's real easy to share files. Let's say, for example, in the resource page, I can click and drag an item in from my computer. Let's, this OPSRC logo. If I click and drag on here, there is a limit of 8 megabytes. If you're on the free accounts, you can pay for accounts that will give you a little bit more on that one. But yeah, once I put that information there, I can press enter and it will upload it into that channel. So real easy to share all of that out. And then, people can add reactions to it. There's tons of lovely reactions in here built in. That's a way for people to interact. Okay. Yeah, I think those are the basics there. There's so much more that you can do to help facilitate discussion in there, but I think those are some pretty good first steps. With that, I would like to take a moment to talk about integrating technology. There's lots of different ways that you could do it, but one way that I'm going to recommend at least taking a look at, if you're unfamiliar with, is taking a look at the technology integration matrix. I know it looks pretty complex here, but the idea is that there are 5 different levels of technology integration, starting with the most basic, on the left side of the matrix, going to the right side, which is the most involved. And then there are 5 different characteristics of learning environment, and all of them have some level of independence and some level of interdependence here. But the 5 characteristics are active, collaborative, constructive, authentic, and goal-directed. So these are the different ways that you can use the tool to enhance or transform parts of your classroom. And I want to highlight one of these tools that one of these characteristics that I think Discord really leans itself to, which is the collaborative description here, the characteristic. So what I'd like to do for a minute or so at least is invite you to imagine what would this tool look like inside of your classroom. Under these characteristics here, I'm going to do a little activity called move up a level, which is where I look at one characteristic and see how can I use this tool. Where is my classroom at in terms of using this tool, and how can I progress them to the next level of deeper of technology integration here, and thinking through that plan here of how it's going to be used here. So I've highlighted a couple of activities that I think will help you out with this one. So if collaboration is a skill that you want to definitely try to work on, I think Discord is an excellent lens for that. So starting from the lowest form of collaboration, according to the integration matrix, that's described as passive use of the tool here. And this is not a bad place to start for students, especially if they're unfamiliar with the tool. You want to give them an opportunity to play with the tool, figure out its parameters, figure out if it works for them, and really test the limits of it. And so you can do basic things like just have students join the server and take advantage of your office hours in there. And so some students will really resonate with that one, because that way they don't have to stay after school. If there's like an issue with buses or anything like that, and then they're having trouble coordinating a ride, this is just another way that you can be accessible to your students on there. using that in office hours. Once students feel a little bit comfortable, though, I recommend trying to push them gently towards the adoption phase, which is you're taking advantage of the conventional uses of the tool here. So things like having students join channels and join together into study groups. So they're taking advantage of the text features. They're putting resources out there. They're like, hey, I had problem with this problem. Can someone explain it to me? Oh yeah, join me in the voice chat. We can go over it on here. And so great stuff in terms of just taking advantage of some of the basic uses that we have for that. After a while, when students start to feel more and more uncomfortable, and you're also feeling more comfortable on it, you want to try to shift the tool and try to get students to take advantage of it in a sense of they are the ones that are defining the way that they are using the tool. And so the adaption phase of using a tool is characterized more of independent use of this tool. And so let's say, for example, you want to do some project-based learning. Great. Once you separate people into groups, they can start forming and saying like, hey, at 5 o'clock, can you meet me at so-and-so's channel or something so we can talk over these details. Or you can give them their own channel so they can organize their own work in there. If they can say like, hey, I found something at this website, can somebody check and make sure, that this website's legit? Or do you guys think this is a good idea to move the project towards this? And of course, they can have a space to meet inside of the voice channels as well. So they can coordinate. Maybe it's the day before a presentation and they're saying like, hey, do you think we could just run through it real quick? You two listen while I go through and see if there's anything that sounds really weird. Something like that. But yeah, and it really just kind of comes down to how you envision that your Discord is going to be used. You can, and you don't necessarily have to make a new server for all of your classes. If you want, you can coordinate and like maybe separate it out in categories or in channels, just however way that you think is going to be optimal in terms of organization for you. But also if you're working with, if you're collaborating with their other colleagues, like I don't think this tool can only be used by students. I think educators can coordinate using it as well and create little repositories for resources or just like a space that it would be really easy for you to access and be lightweight. Now, yeah, try to keep in mind that safety and security, that making sure that things are being as private as possible out on here. I think that is kind of the thing that prevents some people from investing more into Discord. And that one is just because of people can get into this through their invitation links, and so it's important to take a moment and discuss trying to keep safe on here. And there's loads of resources for that. So let me just wrap up this tech talk here. On this page, I've included a bunch of resources for Discord. If you want to get your classroom started, there's guides for that. There's beginner's guides as well. Don't assume that your students, even though this is a tool that I think is going to be really familiar to some of your students, don't just assume that they will automatically know what's going on here. So I think a good first step is to share a resource. So there's a beginner's guide that's out there, and there's videos as well. But I've included this article because I think it's really thorough. There is a safety center dedicated to making sure that people know what to do in terms of keeping their accounts safe, like setting up two-factor authentication or email verification. So I also think that article is a pretty good one to share with students as well. There's an article for setting up safe servers that gives a lot of really great tips. There's one specifically addressing parent and educator concerns, some of the top questions that they have in there. So I think that's quite good. Even if you're already aware, I think it's really good to just have some kind of response at the ready, just in case somebody asks. And then the last two involves having tips on how Discord can be used and giving some really specific examples. I really love this one by Ryan Cordell because he highlights he details his experience on using Discord for his classroom. So really great stuff in there. Last couple pages. This is dedicated to technology integration. If you like some of the stuff on that, I think this applies to really any technology tool. So things like ISTE standards, technology matrix, TPAC, all that. If you want to explore more in there, there's a page dedicated to this. And then finally, I want to share you with my appreciation. Thank you so much. If you've made it up to this point, hopefully this tool has resonated with you, or maybe you might want to share this with a colleague. If you have an opportunity, please go and do the evaluation. It only takes a minute or so to do. There's only a few questions. I just want to make sure that my tech talks are the best they can be. There's a QR code that you can access them as well on the right-hand side. I've been Kushan Hopkins. I'm joined here with Kurt Bernhardt. Thank you so much, Kurt. I really appreciate you, man. I really do. And you can reach out to either of us if you want to extend the conversation in either Discord or really any of the other pieces of technology that we work with. Tech team at opsrc.net is the best way to do that. If you want to know more, opsrc.net/technology. You can have access to the recording, which will be up fairly soon once we get things going on our website. And at the very bottom, you can connect with our community. If you already use Discord in your classroom, please share that kind of stuff out. We want to hear those success stories with the technology because you might be able to connect with other people in the community where this tool is going to be the next step for them. But I think that's it for now. So with that, one last thank you so much, everybody, and I hope you have a great day.